Yes.
Okay, we'll do roll call. Kelsey approved absence, Merle approved absence, Blake approved absence, Alberta.
Here.
Glenn,
Here.
Jenny.
Here.
Crystal, here, we have a quorum. If you'll join me in the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd entertain a motion regarding the agenda.
So moved.
That's Jenny as a first on the agenda. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Glenn is a second.
Is this for the consent agenda?
Well, don't we have to approve an agenda?
Not for a work session.
I would say we need to approve the agenda, yeah.
Okay. Just because we have a consent and an action item, I think that's good practice. So. Discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote and I'll just practice my roll call. Alberto,
Aye or nay?
Glenn,
Aye.
Jenny.
Aye.
Crystal votes aye, motion carries. I'd entertain a motion for the consent agenda.
Board of direction.
What? Consent agenda?
Well, that's the one. that
No,
was-
two. The first one was for the agenda
Oh.
as presented. The second one is for consent agenda for the HL personnel.
Oh, okay.
We didn't have the voting of the consent or the agenda on the agenda, but we should vote to approve the agenda,
Okay,
which
Sorry.
did pass.
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Jenny made a first. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Second. Alberto?
Aye.
Glenn?
Aye.
Jenny?
Aye.
Crystal? Aye. Motion carries. We have number 3, board action. Do I hear anything for A?
Do we need to do these separately?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Two separate
Okay.
items of business, so.
I'll make a motion that we approve, board action item A, superintendent contract renewal.
Jenny made the first motion. Do I hear a second?
I will second.
Alberto will second. So any discussion before we move to a vote? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Alberto?
Aye.
Glenn?
Aye.
Jenny?
Aye.
Crystal, aye. Motion carries. We have board action item number
Actually, I'd
B.
just like to interject, thank you for. You and Blake doing that process and for.
Yeah.
Great to stay on for. So, just some kudos because it was, yeah, I know it's.
Thank you, very excited to sign another 3 on for another 3 years, so.
I should have congratulated you, but I'm down to business.
You're
Sorry.
down to business. I don't need any congratulatory, but it was a very easy process, and I'm happy to sign on for another 3 years.
But thanks for leading that and thanks for,
Yeah.
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 for-
Disappointed the state of Oregon doesn't do 25 years.
I know.
I'll have to write.
I'm gonna write a letter.
Okay. Moving on to board action item number B. Or letter B, pardon me.
I did not put like a memo here together, so this seemed to be pretty straightforward from our first reading. There really was no follow-up, so nothing has changed since 2 weeks ago when we had a first reading. So essentially, there could be just a motion to adopt the policies as presented on the agenda. I would think would be an adequate motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve,
Adopt.
adopt the policies as presented.
Jenny makes a first. Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Glenn does a second. Is there any discussion around this? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Alberto?
Aye.
Glenn,
Aye.
Jenny. Aye. Crystal, I, motion carries. District reports.
All right, first up, we have our community eligibility provision and the wellness plan update and summer meals. So this is just information that we update annually, and so Diane, is there anything to add to make a point to? And Cheryl, is there any information on this report that you would like to add to?
All the links are updated with current information.
Anything to add, Diane?
The top part is pretty much just been updated with the kind of a rolling thing, so like this summer, you'll see the summer meals flyer in there. What we did add with Charles' help also was more about wellness. So that looks a little bit different. This year, you'll see the key health and wellness. Can't read that far. So other districts do this, so I thought it was important too to add that, so.
Any questions?
Nope.
I was just gonna add one piece. We were fortunate to re-qualify for CEP, so we have another 4 years guaranteed for the no-cost meals for students. So that was something that Lori did, a re-qualification due to some changes in some federal programs and things coming forward. We wanted to make sure we locked in as long as we could, so.
So now when are we eligible till?
4 more school years, so
Okay.
starting with the 26-27 school year through the 30-31 school year.
Excellent.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is. And will you remind me, does that include summer meals in the park or no?
That is a separate program.
Okay. Any other questions? No? Great, I think we're good.
All right, well, I'd like to invite our new director of facilities here to one of the 2 hot seats there, Jeff. So this is Jeff Alderman. He joined us June 1st, and we're really excited to have him here. Before he gets to the annual health and safety safe school plan report, I asked Jeff to more or less introduce himself to us or to you, and tell a little bit about his first few weeks on the job and kind of visions that he has. So I'll turn it over to you, Jeff.
Perfect, thank you, Dan. Good evening to you. My name is Jeff Alderman. I started 3 weeks ago. It was a pretty cool and interesting process to be hired. The pictures and the slides was something I've never experienced before, so they did a really nice job in preparing a really nice interview process. A little history for me. I was just at Silver Falls School District for 3 years as their facility director. And then I was the grounds and buildings manager on 2 separate occasions for North Clackamas schools for 5 years. And then I was up at a college in Portland for 5 years before that. So I've been in facilities my whole life. Since I got out of college, that's what I've been doing. So this community's been unbelievably welcoming and supportive, super kind. Everybody's just happy. Everybody's welcoming. Everybody's been just gracious and forgiving. And there's a lot to learn. There's just a lot to know, and there's a lot to see, right? I'm trying to figure out where everything's at. This is my 4th week on the job, and one of my guys is on vacation this week. And so I'm kind of flying blind because I was relying on him a lot for where mechanical rooms are and electrical rooms are. And so I've been putting out a few fires in his absence, but just trying to figure out where stuff's at and make sure we take care of business. Right now, it's one of our biggest times of the year. We're at crunch time. It's go. We're trying to clear every room out, get them all finished, get everything painted, cleaned, repaired. Just make sure it's as good as it can be for when kids come back in the fall. We've got 1 less week this year because we're starting a little earlier, so it's even more of a crunch for us, but we'll get business taken care of. I've been going through all of our regs and our records and just making sure everything's up to date. Found a few things that we're gonna improve and make a little bit better, but most stuff looks like it's in pretty good shape. So, and then for the next 6 to 12 months, I'm gonna be spending a lot of time watching our staff, making sure we're doing the right things, and then making some adjustments after that. But facilities is like a year round, right? It takes a year to really figure out what's going on with what we have. Our systems, our procedures, all that stuff, because we got summer schedule, we got winter break, we got spring break. So it's all different things, how we do it, when we do it, and then making tweaks and adjustments to make it as beneficial to the district as possible. I'm a big fan of bringing stuff in-house, so we're gonna be doing a lot more in-house, repairs and projects. And save money, we can train our staff, we can be more responsive, so that's one of my big pushes and focuses is gonna be on bringing that stuff in-house a little bit more. There's always gonna be stuff we have to farm out, there's the regulatory stuff that people have to be licensed to do, but if we can minimize the additional expenses. We can save money, do more, get it done quicker, and be really proud of what we put out, so. Those are my quick board presentation.
Well, I know one area that Jeff brought in-house today is that the chiller, the AC unit in the Commons that has not been running for a year, he fixed today. And so, yeah, he also told me, he goes, I'm not sure how long it's gonna last, but it is running and so it is an older piece of equipment. You know, its lifespan is coming to term.
It's about due, it's 25 years old, so it's lived a good life. We're gonna try to limp it along as long as we can, responsibly, right? We're not gonna throw a lot of money at something that's dying, but we're gonna see how we can keep it alive as long as possible, if it makes sense, so. Yeah,
And then our, one of the areas that Jeff wants to bring in-house is our pest management system is something that, he has been certified in the past, is gonna work to get recertified again. He has supervised people in the past that have had those licensures and requirements, and so that's an area where we look forward to saving some money and getting that done internally.
absolutely, we'll be able to do it quicker, cheaper and better, so it'll be good for the district as a whole. Just the fact that every school has air conditioning is pretty fantastic, because I've never been in any facility that's had all of that. And then having a security system for people badge in, you have a little more access control, fantastic. So there's a lot of great things happening in this district. Look forward to making it better, so.
So Jeff, is there anything on the report that you wanted to highlight or anything?
So I will say, I looked through our records, some of our healthy and safe school plans from the past. I've modified it a little bit, because we had a few things on there that weren't quite what we needed to have. So it's condensed a little from the last time, but it's all accurate, it all follows the law, and everything is currently up to date. I got here and I had 8 days to do a water sample to keep us current, but we got it in and we got it done, so we are in good shape in that respect. As far as all the testing dates, they're all listed. We've got a few years on a few of them. I think we're gonna end up doing some of them a little early, just to kind of spread the cost out over a couple of years. So like our lead and water copper testing, we can spread that out a little bit. We don't have to all do it in 1 year. We can do it, it's a 6-year cycle, so we can kind of do bits and pieces throughout that 6 years. So we're gonna make a few little adjustments to spread some of that out. But if you have any questions on the HASP plan, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions of Jeff that hopefully he's able to answer? So if anybody has any.
I have a comment. I noticed all the grounds are getting trimmed up and I'm really excited to see that. It's looking nicer. But I did want to ask, I'll totally put you on the spot, like, what are the top 3 projects this summer that you're looking forward to getting done?
So we're gonna do a lot more grounds work. We have a lot to change.
Please.
Yeah. Just the way it was. Sometimes the way landscape architects design aren't necessarily the best for grounds maintenance, so we're gonna make some changes and tweak the landscapes a little bit. So it's easier to maintain, it looks a lot cleaner without costing the district any more additional money. We're gonna paint, we're gonna do a little painting outside, kind of dress up some stuff, and then I'm hoping we can get some of the facilities, restrooms cleaned up a bit. Change the layout. Right now, there are a lot of plywood and wood partitions. We're gonna swap them out to something a little more user friendly and doesn't rot or isn't so difficult to clean. So, yeah,
Thanks.
those are the big. We got lots. There's a bunch,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
those are the quick ones.
Anything else?
Just probably more clarification, the water testing falls to you. That's under your purview then for,
Yeah, and so we have one small water system here. I am a certified water operator for a small system, so I've already got that. I'll have to hurry up in a year, but I'm current on it. So,
yeah, that's always, I mean, that's been an ongoing thing here at the district for a long time, so
Yeah.
that's important, and I'm glad you had the source.
So my previous district, I had 7 water systems that I managed, so having one focus and we'll be in tip top shape. So.
Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. I look forward to all the things you have planned. And thank you for the AC in the comments.
Well, you are very welcome. I look forward to working with you. I appreciate all of your time. So have a good evening.
Thank you.
And you're free to go.
Sure.
Yeah, oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
Have a great evening. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Take care.
Take care.
All right, so as we wrap up the last meeting of the of this school year, since July 1 kind of kicks us over into a new fiscal year, and as we look at the school year, Desiree put together this presentation that really kind of recaps our goals. And so I think I'll take a couple of the slides, but it's gonna mostly be Desiree. So these are what are in our integrated plan. And these are my goals, which we have been focused on for the last 2 years. So go ahead, next slide. We will talk a little bit about attendance. So last year we had a major focus on attendance. And I will say, although our processes, our consistency in processes may have slipped a little bit, thankfully, we didn't slide too much on our attendance. And so I think the one area, so really happy to see that high school number jump up. I think the one area that, I have a little bit concerned about is that dip in that primary. I think primary school probably had one of the more consistent approaches, and just wanting to make sure that we get that back up, because it's that foundational creating those habits of those younger students. So overall, happy that although our processes slipped a little bit in terms of the consistency of sending letters and phone calls and home visits and stuff like that, thankfully, we did not see a dip in the attendance numbers. All right,
Nice.
Des gonna take it from here.
And I'm not gonna go over all of this because you guys have access to it, but I'm gonna hit a couple high points. One, we're continuing to see some really good gains in our primary school in terms of our early literacy. This is the easiest way to read this is the green box is students who are on track or at benchmark as they're leading their grade level. And we saw some just really incredible gains from the primary school in this area, including the fact that by the end of the year, 64% of students scored at or above typical growth, which is amazing. And this was particularly true at our kindergarten level. 77% of our students in kindergarten left on benchmark or above. And it's amazing. We're really excited about that. And the below benchmark from the beginning of the year to the end of the year shrunk significantly from 61% to 23%. And you think about 23%, that means those are the kids who still need interventions. So if you think about trying to serve 61% of kids needing interventions versus 23% of your kids, 23% is like 23 kids basically for a kindergarten, for the first grade next year. So that's a really huge leap for us, and we're excited about that growth. We didn't see as big of a jumps in our first and second grade, and so one of the things that Cheryl was really working on and has been working with Jamie, our new principal, on is how do we take what's working really well at the kindergarten and replicate it in our first and second grade teams. Namely, we know that our kindergarten team has really embraced small group instruction, and they're seeing just some really amazing results. And we're hoping that we can use that to gain some momentum across the board. And there's our second grade team, and they stayed a lot more flat. We also, as you remember, it's higher every year, right? They're gaining new skills. So we also that plateauing isn't exactly what we want to see, but in some ways we know where we need to go to make those improvements. So for our third grade reading, we did not see as big of growth there. And so this is our winter to spring data for STAR. And for third grade, this is our overall for the first one was our overall for the intermediate school. And then this is specifically our third graders. So we can see that shrink, not quite what we want. We definitely are hoping for better results in the future. But the good thing is that one of the things that we talked to you guys last year was our need to make sure that our assessment that we do in the interim is a good measure and aligns to the state test so that we can have good accurate data. And the state STAR proficiency rating was 25.6%. So at spring, STAR said to us, we predict that 25.6% of your kiddos will pass the state test. And right now, our current pass rate for our third grade is 29%. So right in that ballpark. If you'll remember, when we shifted over to STAR, it was because we were using HMH growth that said, you're gonna have 40 kids meet the benchmark, and we only had 20% of kids meet the benchmark. So this is far more accurate data. We know that it's gonna give us good information. This was also the intermediate's first year using the STAR assessment, and we're gonna be doing a lot more training with our staff on how to use that data to understand where kids have gaps. We also have done a lot of PD this year with our different groups to really revise our curriculum to get it better aligned with the state assessment and the state standards. And we're really excited about the work that's moving forward. So this is our third grade reading scores in specific. We went from last year at 26% passing to 29%. So we did see a little bit of a jump, but still short of that 40% that we're looking for. And then this is just our overall state assessment data across the district. As for the state measure, they look at third grade, but we want to give you all the data. The column in the green is last year's score, so you can see where we've had growth. And at the intermediate school in general, we saw some good growth in third and fourth grade. Fifth grade took a bit of a jump or dive. And then we saw some pretty significant drops at the middle school. Part of this we think is the middle school's opt-out rates shot up astronomically this year. We do not anticipate that we will meet the state requirement for participation because of how many kids that opted out. And we know that it was impacting our scores. So understanding the why behind that is really interesting. I think there's more information we need to dig into as to why that became kind of a trend that was happening. And then we've got a dip in our 11th grade scores as well. Good news on the 11th grade scores is we had less kids opting out this year, but still less kids passing as well. 8th grade math is the other large metric that we use. So this is our overall 8th grade math scores. And you can see, again, we took a pretty big dip from 21% last year to 15% this year passing. And these are our overall scores across the district. So a jump in 4th grade, but overall drop in most of our grade levels.
I think the other thing that's concerning on, if you go back a couple slides, Des, on these math scores is, you know, you can kind of, we didn't necessarily do a cohort group.
I'll bring that in the fall.
Yeah, of how, but you can kind of see a little bit here as you look at, so the current 4th graders went up 2% from last year as 3rd graders to this year. But you can see that big drop in 5th grade from 23% meeting at 4th grade to 15% in the next slide. So as these kids are moving up in math, their strengths and scores are not going in the right direction. So you can see going from the current 7th graders, 21% pass to 6th graders, but only 10%. And you can see that decline again from the current 8th graders at 17 to 15%. Yeah.
And then there's our 11th grade. And so this is our STAR math data from the primary school. Not showing the same jumps that we saw in reading, but we are seeing that growing the green mentality happening in our kindergarten team. As well as our 1st grade team, we saw a bit of a jump from 35% to 39%. And our 2nd grade team remained pretty flat in terms of their STAR data. Finally, we have ELPA, and we are, the red for this one is our state average, and so this is just where are we compared to the state? So, this also is marking how many students were proficient. And the one piece that is a little complicated, I wanted to put the state like average on there just so that we're aware of like what we should be shooting for. But a reminder that the group of students that makes up who's taking that test is vastly different from school to school. So for example, our second grade group, you know, in North Marion, that might be kids who have been here since kindergarten. It might be a mix of kids who are literally new to our country this year and barely learning English. It could be a full mix. And people in other districts, theirs mix is different from year to year too. So sometimes it's a hard measure to really capture.
Will you give a 2-minute or 1-minute explanation of,
Elevator speech.
yeah, ELPA?
Of ELPA. ELPA is a yearly assessment that students have to take if they are receiving English language development services. The ELPA test is comprised of a reading, writing, listening, and speaking components. And students must score a 4 or above in all categories in order to be considered proficient and be able to exit out of the program. The average length of time it takes a student to enter the ELD program and then exit, having scored 4 across the board, is 5 years. So it would be very rare. So the fact that we have 0% in kindergarten makes sense. A lot of those students, they're brand new. The likelihood that we'd have a kindergarten like come in, need services and exit the same year is kids who are like right on that cusp, that they just needed a little academic language maybe to get across the board. We'd be more likely to see them exit by 5th grade. And so we want our numbers of exiting students to go up as they've been in the program longer. The one issue that North Marion has is on average, we're taking 5 to 7 years to exit students. So we are on average 2 years longer to get out of ELD services than other students across the state. Thanks. Yeah. The one thing I do want to point out is at the intermediate school, we saw some significant jumps. And for the most part, in our 3rd and 4th grade students, we were above the state average. And overall, for our ELD students in the intermediate school, we actually exited 20% of our students overall, the 3rd through 5th grade, which is so fantastic. The work that the intermediate school has been doing has been really, really foundational in helping our students be successful. On top of that, we are really hoping, because one of the pieces of things that we're encouraging and working on with our ELD department is we want kids at the latest to exit by the time they're in middle school, because we know statistically if a student is still receiving ELD services when they enter the high school, they are unlikely to exit out. And what we've really seen with that is you will have scores, and this is one of the interesting things around the ELPA test. It is a more difficult test every single year. So the kindergarten test looks like kindergarten level language, and the 1st grade test is 1st grade level language, and the high school test is high school level language. And so every year you have to be kind of exponentially growing. And what we see is we'll have students who, like in middle school, were at 4s and 5s in some categories, and maybe they have one category that was a 2 that they needed to work on, and then they'll hit high school and drop to 1s across the board. And what we've heard from our high school students is that often they feel like the test is rigged against them. Like there's no way for me to pass it, why should I even try? And we're really working to put systems in place so students feel a sense of hope. One of the things we're doing, and Kim and I were just talking about it, is we're using some of our Title III funds to purchase a test called Flashlight, which is an interim assessment that gives students data on this is how you can improve your scores on the ELPA. So it's not so much of a mystery. And it specifically helps them improve scores in some areas that are sometimes really hard to quantify, specifically writing and speaking. Because sometimes it's just telling the kids like, you need to speak up. You need to elongate your sentences, you need to add some more details, and you'll get a higher score. And if kids don't realize that, they'll just like any of us, if you suddenly put a microphone on you and I was like talk for 5 minutes about this comic book that I just handed you, you'd be like, you know, that's what happens to these students in these tests, they kind of freeze. And so we're trying to help build their confidence, so when we put that microphone on their mouth, they know what they need to say, they know how to talk as long as they need. So we're excited about bringing that resource to them, that particularly Flashlight. The kids record and then they actually, that's scored outside of the district and someone reads to them feedback, says like, this is what you can do to make it better, and it's like a human giving them feedback so they can listen and then learn how to improve their scores. And then we can see. We got a bit of a slip at the middle school, in a lot of ways, this is not surprising, we had a lot of teacher turmoil at the middle school. One of our ELD teachers was on maternity leave for the majority of the year, and the other one of the teachers had to go on leave as well halfway through the year, and so kids were out using substitutes a lot. And the substitute we had was amazing, but she was new to the program, and so we definitely saw some of the impact, I think. And this is given at every grade level, so this is one of the few tests at the high school where you will see a 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. And then we're still waiting to find 9th grade on track and graduation numbers. Those are finalized by the state. We'll be working on 9th grade on track here pretty quick because some of our 9th grade on track will improve with summer school numbers. And then our graduation rates, the piece that is tricky about graduation rates and why we have to wait for the state to report it is we know how many kids started their senior year with us and walked across the finish line. We can give you that percentage. But graduation rates are calculated by cohort. So who started with us their 9th grade year and then who finished with us their 12th grade year. If a student was with us their 9th grade year and at some point left and went to another district and enrolled, that then shifts over to that new district. But if they were with us their 9th grade year and then disappeared, that counts as a dropout. And much to the enrollment data that we're going to discuss later, sometimes we don't have a good understanding of where those students left to and or a tracking of it. So suddenly we'll get our graduation rate numbers and we're like, wait a minute, who was this kid? This year we brought all those numbers to Nathan and did a little digging into our data system to figure out like why did this kid count against us in terms of graduation rates? And what we noticed was students, that there's a large population of students who like started and enrolled with us for like 2 days and then disappeared and we never got records requests. Or were with us for maybe the first 10 days of school and then dropped and we never saw them again. And without follow-up with those families to figure out where did they enroll, if they moved to a different state that doesn't request records, which isn't very often, but sometimes. Things like that, it just ends up a little wonky and we don't know who will count against us until those final numbers come through. Any questions?
So just to clarify, if somebody enrolls with us for 2 days, they can potentially be on our books.
Yeah.
Is that a statute level?
Yeah.
That is,
Sucks, yeah.
it's not accurate.
Yeah.
It's totally inaccurate for what you're doing. I mean, I'm sorry, it just is, if you've got to count that as a dropout.
Yeah.
We're not weird, right?
Not weird, it's
That's
bad policy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, it's poorly formed policy at the legislative level.
Yeah, and it's why, our ability to keep in touch with our families as a family enrolls, like if they suddenly. What we're noticing as we dig into some of these things is we don't have good practices in place that are like, hey, you haven't been here for 10 days. I'm calling. Where are you? Where are you? And as soon as they say South Salem, then we're sending records there, like what do we need to do? Because sometimes it's as simple as that, tracking them down. But we know with the transitory nature of some of our families, if they just got up and left and we don't know where they went and they're not answering the phone again, it's hard that it counts against us.
Do we know, like, not official state numbers, but do we know how many seniors were enrolled that graduated?
I don't off the top of my head, but yes, we got those numbers from the high school. I just didn't grab them for this because I knew it wasn't gonna be accurate to what the
Yeah.
state's gonna report. But I could bring those for our next meeting.
That'd be great.
So are larger districts, like, do they have dedicated staff to chase down? I mean, is that what, cause I'm assuming if you're a smaller district, you're,
Yeah.
you would struggle just to have the manpower to chase down those kids who maybe were enrolled for 2 weeks or a month or whatever. Versus a larger district probably has a dedicated personnel to
I think there's,
run those down.
for sure, there's more staff. I think one of the things is better is staff, which is in the next presentation about the, having a data specialist. Who's making sure the information is being entered accurately, consistently, and then also, I think some systems within schools as, what are those personal connection points that we are making with families? Are administrators involved in greeting families, getting to know kids, and then being able to follow up to say, does a principal know when somebody has not shown up for X number of days
Yeah.
or is about to be 10-day dropped? Is that an expectation in every building? It should be.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm thinking, you would probably have an easier time chasing down with a shorter timeline, if you don't find out about it for,
Yeah.
2 months later. It may become very difficult because the trail may be either cold or, you know what I mean, or things have moved on or. And so.
Which is another reason why having that welcome center in the district office, to have that person who was hopefully the person to greet and get that family enrolled, get them started. Okay, they showed up for 2 days, now they didn't come, that might be probably is the best person to reach out and say, hey, we haven't seen your kid in a couple of days. Cause that may be the first point of connection, the person who sat with them and got them enrolled to call back up and say, we missed your kid at school. Is there anything going on? And what can we do to help? So, again, trying to build more systems to support families. Cause one of the things you'll see in the next presentation is there is a lot of movement in and out.
Yeah.
So.
And then there's little things, I know when we were working with like Lindsay and the counselors to look at some of those graduation numbers. There are the things that. On one level, we count as a win, but on the state level, it's not a win. So for example, GED is a perfect example of that. It does not count as a graduate for us. But it might be the right thing for that kid. And so there are systems that we can start thinking about to kind of benefit that a little bit more. And see how we can work those systems, and also making sure if we're gonna use something like a GED, we're using it for the right students. So we know that some of our dropouts are students who are like, I'm gonna do GED, and then they drop out from GED. And it still counts as our dropout, because GED is not a school that they're enrolling in, it's like an outside program. And so even unless they come and re-enroll with us to try to earn that graduation, certificate, they're gonna count as a dropout against us. And GED is one of those tricky ones that I think a lot of kids think is the quick solution. And then they get into the program and they're like, oh, I'm supposed to have 4 years worth of high school equivalency knowledge on a single test, and I don't have it. And they get frustrated with it, so.
Can you remind me what focus points we're covering in the summer education piece that would help our data?
Sure, so
Like our summer courses, because we have,
Makeup.
with the high school?
with the high school, and then we have reading, literacy.
Yeah, so at the elementary and middle schools, the focus is literacy, that's the
Okay,
state's
but no
ask.
math.
There's some math that is going to be incorporated in, but the big focus is on closing our literacy gaps.
Okay.
And then some enrichment that's connected to that. At the high school, it's purely credit recovery, and so that's why the 9th grade on track numbers can be impacted. A lot of the students doing, and Lindsay, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's students who are right on that cusp of passing, and if they completed a few assignments, did some work with the teachers, they can push that grade into a passing grade and be done with it. So that's the focus with high school. It's a much shorter session and we don't use our state grant funds for summer school to pay for that.
And one thing we talked with Lindsay about is why waiting to do that credit recovery after the school year's out and then maybe investing in some more immediate, as soon as the trimester is over,
Yes.
after school required, we're gonna do this now, we're getting this done, pay some extra time for staff to do that versus waiting, you know, someone failed first trimester that you're now gonna make something up that you may not have done since November. So trying to kind of take a different approach to that.
Nice, that's good. Any other questions?
All right, so at our 2 weeks ago, Kim shared with you that we had, go ahead and go to the next slide. That, you know, in previous years, we saw declines in enrollment of from about 1 to just under 2%. And in 25-26, we thought a 3.5% decline. That's correct, Kim?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And, you know, some questions were raised at last month's or 2 weeks ago about, you know, kind of what's the story behind this? And I had no good answers for you, didn't know the stories. And so we are not adequately understanding why students are leaving. So last Thursday, we had an admin meeting and I asked each principal to look back from February to current and look into what's the story behind why these students left. And so now one of the things you're gonna see on these numbers, which I think illustrates some of the things we have to improve upon. If you were to go back and look at the numbers that I show you on this presentation along with Kim's report, these numbers are not gonna add up. You're gonna see way more students leaving on here. Now, whether that's because Kim's report may have also included kids enrolling, so.
Correct. It's net.
So that was a net change, so, you know, but I think this shows some dramatic things as I put this together. So first slide is from February to present to the end of the school year, we had 10 students withdraw from the primary. 6 enrolled in nearby districts, 1 moved out of state, 1 moved out of the country. 2 of those 10 students re-enrolled, so they were 10-day dropped and came back to us. So that was a pretty straightforward, where we knew where every kid was at. Intermediate school, we had 8 students withdraw, 3 enrolled in nearby districts, 2 went to online programs, and 3 have yet to enroll. So we have 3 kids that 10-day dropped, and we don't know where they're enrolled at, or if they enrolled. So if we never get records, that will be a dropout. So that is another thing we need to figure out what can we do to find out what happened to those students.
And I will add to this, especially with the concept of re-enroll, if there's something like they went to another country, we often don't get records requests for those. So if we know that they moved to another country, it's really about our documentation, like parents said they're moving back to Mexico or something. Or that they're on a family trip and they haven't re-engaged since then, and we need to document that. So if we don't have, like, we're not sure they just disappeared, it could be that, or it could be dropout, or it could be something else.
So the secondary level, you're gonna see, we've got some serious issues in terms of the number of student movements, to the point that I had to do 2 slides for the middle school. So we had, this is just on 10-day drops, so we had 6 different students with 10-day drops. 1 student withdrew, re-enrolled and withdrew again. We had 1 student dropped and then re-enrolled, and 4 that are unaccounted for. So there's that. And then these are students that transferred out, so we had 9 students withdrew. 5 went to another Oregon school district, 4 which were close by. 2 moved out of state, 1 moved out of the country, 1 enrolled in an online program and re-enrolled. So when I say 9 students withdrew, so like when I was looking at the data that they shared with me, I went ahead and counted that student because at one point they were not on our books. And now thankfully the middle school and even the other schools could say, but this student came back on this day, so that they were out from February 22nd and re-enrolled on May 16th, they had that data to say They left on this day and we re-enrolled them on this day. At the high school, they had 28 students withdrew, 5 were in GED, 4 of these students re-enrolled, 1 graduated early. 19 students with varied reasons for leaving, so you can see at our secondary level, there's just a lot more movement happening, and whether that's parents looking for different options for kids. Whether, you know, what the narrative behind that is, we don't know, but that's where we're gonna have to do some more digging into this. So what are we gonna do? So we're gonna have a data specialist that oversees attendance enrollment practices. You know, one of the things that was interesting in getting these data points from the principals is they all kind of had a different way of accessing the information. You know, one principal said, I'm gonna run a report, I know which report to run. Another just shared with me a spreadsheet that's just kind of an internal document. Whereas, you know, at district level, you know, district people are running the reports from the system that you use to track attendance. So if we're not all using that system the same way, that's when you're gonna see when we come before you and say, oh, we lost 10 kids over the last month. Is because what was the internal system that each of those schools were using? And if it's not the same, then we can't count on that data at the district level. And so, again, going back to this data specialist to say, we have to do it the same way in every building. Because while that system may work for you at your building level, at the district level, every one of those students is $13,000. You know, any business that loses 3.5% isn't going to, you know, they're gonna go, where did the business go? And granted, we can't run this like business, these families have a lot of factors in their life that may take them out of our schools. But when we are making financial decisions based on the data that's in the system, we can't make financial decisions based on inaccurate data. So, this is a critical reason for adding this position. And again, this is just for clarity, this is not us adding a position. It's a change in position because we did have a retirement in a department, and instead of refilling that position, we are replacing it with this. I'm gonna have principals report to me twice a month, stats on new students and those withdrawing, because I really want to latch onto those new students. When a student enrolls in North Marion, we wanna make this the best experience that they've had to try to keep them here. We know that students that are moving in, families that are moving in, it often, more times than not, is a stressful situation. It isn't that mom or dad got the new big job that brought them to a community. They're oftentimes, more often, dealing with life stressors. So how do we make this the best experience possible for them? And then we want to incorporate, which is part of our strategic plan, exit surveys for families that are leaving North Marion, understanding why they're doing that. By the way, we just started doing that for our staff, so any staff member that retired or resigned from April of this year got an exit survey today. Saying, you know, basically, why did you leave? What did you like about your experience? What are things that we can improve upon, and would you like to meet with one of us to discuss your experience as an employee? So, because it's all about feedback. Any questions?
When do you anticipate starting the exit surveys for the families leaving North Marion?
That'll probably be more of a fall,
thing?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's, I mean, you know, I mean, surveys need to be short. If they're long, that you're out. So you've gotta get a quick survey. What are your key questions that are easy to answer? And then always have would you like to talk to somebody about that?
Yeah.
You know, that's, you know, but even if we got that it was nothing to do with us, just life stuff. Okay, well, at least we have a data point, so we're not just guessing. So, and we have some of that anecdotally, but it'd be great to capture it on a form that they're completing.
Mhm.
So. All right, so before, since it's still under
Wait,
the,
anybody
go.
else?
Yes.
Glenn?
Good.
All right,
I'm
you're.
good for the moment.
Uh,
This has got my mind thinking.
So since we're still under the superintendent's report, I just want to thank Lindsay, Andrew Koberstein for being here tonight. And agreeing to be our principal for the high school next year. Now, Lindsay, so I'd asked all the new principals at some point this summer to come and share, but do you have anything planned, or do you? No, okay, just didn't want you to walk out and go, Dan, you told me to be here, and then you didn't even call me. Okay, all right, but we're excited for Lindsay and the hard work that she's doing, and she's leading some Avid training the next 2 days for the middle and high school.
We got about 200 people that'll be here from other districts, go
Wow,
through different trainings, yeah. So I'm really glad our air conditioning conference is working. All the teachers have lunch every day. A lot.
Yeah, Lindsay called me this morning and said, because they're also getting ready for our move from the district office, so they were kind of moving some things around, and she says, is there any way we can redirect that work to get ready for Avid? And I'm like, yes, that you guys are more important than we are up here, so Jeff, thank you, you stuck around. So redeployed his troops to get the commons and all the facilities ready for 200 people coming in, it's great, so.
Way to pivot.
Yeah.
It's nice. I do have one quick question, and you can pass.
Okay,
So will all the moving and everything be done before the beginning of fall
yes,
school year?
yes, we want to be in there by early July,
Okay,
it shouldn't take long.
all right.
And then the welcome center will probably be more when everyone comes back, so it'll be like mid-August, like mid to late August, but they'll be ready for it.
Yeah.
Until then, registration will likely still happen at the building levels, because that's where parents and stuff will be expecting it, and the biggest thing is our kindergarten, we wanna make sure that families can register for everything.
Yeah, and really we don't wanna radically change registration until we have better systems in place, but really we're trying to focus on when, when a mom comes in with 3 kids and there's somebody in the health room behind the secretary, and the secretary's answering the phones, that isn't always the best way to welcome a family. But before school starts, families are excited to come into the school where their kid's gonna go, and we still wanna kind of create that first entry point, but it's once that school year gets started, having them walked to the welcome center where somebody's there and can give them personalized attention.
Are we gonna do any refreshments in the welcome center? Not refreshments as drink, but maybe tea?
Our office is actually fairly recently revised, whether or not you like the color or not could be a different question.
I don't know if it gives that welcoming vibe. No offense.
No, I live in a sea green room, I know. Yeah, we could.
Just consideration.
Yeah.
Welcoming vibe, I don't know. Okay, all right, I'll move on from my.
Well, we have the welcome center as it currently is, has some really lovely furniture that really creates kind of a homey feel, I
It
guess,
does.
is the best way to describe it, and we'll be moving that stuff over, so that's part of it.
Great. Anything? You good still? Yeah, well, dude, I'm giving you a lot of attention today because there's 4 of us, so like, now's your chance. No, I'm just kidding. You good?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna adjourn the work session at 6:59, but I'm gonna read into executive session. The board will meet in executive session pursuant to ORS 192.6602K to consider matters related to school safety or a plan that responds to safety threats made toward a school. Specifically, to hear the details of school safety that are confidential, such as evacuation, reunification plans, or tactical strategies, would be in response to a real safety threat. The board is not deliberating on any action on the matter. Representatives of media shall be allowed to attend. Representatives of the news media are specifically directed not to report on or record any of the deliberations during the executive session. We will not return to open session. We'll take a 2-minute break, 7 p.m.